I watched you turn the key for the last time, your shoulders heavy with a weight I never intended for you to carry alone. I saw the way you lingered by the window, looking at an empty space that used to be filled with your dreams, your sweat, and your hope. You think the silence of your bank account is the sound of my absence, but my child, I have never been closer than in this very moment of your perceived defeat. The world calls this a failure, a collapse, a dead end, but I call it the clearing away of the old to make room for a foundation that cannot be shaken by market trends or broken contracts. I was there at 3:00 a.m. when you stared at the ceiling, your mind a frantic calculator of debts and deadlines that felt like chains around your soul. I heard the unspoken cry of your heart when you felt you had failed everyone who believed in you, your family, your employees, and even yourself. But hear my voice now, echoing through the halls of your spirit. You are not your balance sheet, and your value is not measured by the rise and fall of a ledger. I am the architect of your life, and while you see a ruin, I see a site ready for a masterpiece. You are not a number in a system, nor are you defined by a bankruptcy filing or a shuttered storefront. You are my beloved, and I have marked this specific moment with the seal of my providence. Let the number 8476 be a sign to you today that I have counted every hair on your head and every tear you have shed over this loss. I am moving the pieces of your life into an alignment you cannot yet see, orchestrating a comeback that will not be built on your frantic striving, but on my effortless grace. Your heart feels like a bruised reed, and your mind is a storm of what-ifs and if-onlys. You replay the decisions, the missed opportunities, and the moments where you think you should have known better. But I want you to exhale. Release the breath you've been holding since the day the numbers stopped adding up. In my kingdom, nothing is wasted. Every hour you worked, every drop of sweat you poured into that venture, I have collected them all. They are seeds. You see them as buried and dead, but I see them as planted in the fertile soil of your character. You are in a season of winter, where everything looks bare and lifeless, but beneath the surface of your soul, I am working on the roots. I am teaching you a strength that success could never have granted you. I am showing you that your identity is rooted in being my child, not in being a success in the eyes of a fleeting world. When you walked out of that building, you felt like you were walking into a void. You felt the cold air of uncertainty hitting your face, and for a moment, you couldn't remember how to breathe without the pressure of the business. I was there, walking beside you. I am the one who steadied your hand when it trembled as you signed the final papers. I am the one who whispered, "It's okay," when the shame tried to swallow you whole. Shame is not from me, my love. Shame is a shadow, and I am the sun. Turn your face toward me. Let me melt away the frost of your regrets. You have been so tired for so long trying to sustain a world on your own shoulders, forgetting that I am the one who holds the universe in my palm. The specific trials you faced, the moments of doubt, the thousands of hours of effort that seemed to vanish, were not in vain. They were a refining fire. The gold in you is being purified. You are learning that my provision doesn't always come in the way you expect, but it always comes. I am not limited by your bank's policies or your industry's downturn. I own the cattle on 1,000 hills, and my riches are not just in currency, but in peace that surpasses understanding, in joy that doesn't need a reason, and in a future that is brighter than your brightest past. Do not look back at the closed door with longing. There is a reason I allowed it to shut. If it had stayed open, you would have stayed small. You would have stayed exhausted. You would have continued to build on sand. I have something better for you, a path where you work with me, not for me. A path where your labor is an overflow of my grace, not a desperate scramble for survival. I am your father, and I take delight in your well-being. I'm not angry with you for the failure. I am proud of your courage to try, and I am here to catch you as you fall, only to lift you higher than you were before. You feel as though you have lost your purpose because your hands are now empty. But it is only with empty hands that you can receive the greater gift I am holding out to you. I am restoring your soul before I restore your storehouse. I am mending the cracks in your spirit that you tried to fill with work and status. I am filling those voids with my presence, which is the only thing that will never fail you. You are entering a season of divine rest, even in the midst of financial uncertainty. Trust me with the bills. Trust me with the reputation. Trust me with the future of your family. I have never once let a bird fall to the ground without my notice, and you are worth infinitely more than the sparrows. Take my hand now. Let the anxiety go. Let the worry about tomorrow dissolve in the warmth of my presence today. I have already gone into your tomorrow and prepared the way. I have already spoken to the hearts of those you will meet. I have already set aside the resources you need. You do not have to figure it all out tonight. You only need to trust the one who knows the end from the beginning. You are safe. You are loved. You are chosen. This is not the end. It is your beginning. The miracle is already in motion, and it starts with this peace I am pouring into your heart right now. Rest, my child. I am your provider, your protector, and your greatest fan. Tomorrow we will walk together into the new thing I am doing. But for tonight, just know that I am here, and you are enough just as you are. As the silence of the night deepens, I want you to look at those empty chairs in the boardroom of your mind not as symbols of absence, but as space I am clearing for something more eternal. I saw you when you locked that door for the last time, the heavy click of the key sounding like a gavel in your soul. You felt the weight of every person you had to let go, their faces haunting your prayers, their futures feeling like a burden you were never meant to carry alone. I was there in the hallway when you leaned your forehead against the cold glass, wondering where the fire had gone. That fire was never meant to be fueled by the world's applause or the rising numbers on a screen. It was meant to be fueled by my breath. Think back to the very first day you started this venture. You were small then, dependent on me for every decision, every breath of inspiration. But as the structure grew, the walls became thick enough to muffle my voice, and you began to believe that the strength was coming from your own hands. This collapse is not a punishment. It is an invitation to return to that place of intimacy where we began. I am stripping away the titles that have become your shackles. You are not a failed entrepreneur or a disappointment. Those are labels written in the dust of the earth, and I am blowing them away with the wind of my spirit. Do you remember the small oak sapling in your backyard? To grow taller, it had to endure the winter where it looked dead to the world, its branches bare and brittle. But beneath the frost, I was working in the soil, strengthening the roots, preparing it for a season of fruitfulness it could not yet imagine. You are in your winter, but the sap of my life is still flowing within you. I have seen the secret ledgers of your heart, the ones where you've recorded your perceived debts of shame. I have already crossed them out in red. I am looking at the person you are becoming in this stillness, and I am pleased. You are learning a wisdom that cannot be taught in business schools, the wisdom of the desert, where manna only falls one day at a time. I am teaching you to live in the daily, to trust that I will provide the bread for this hour, the grace for this breath. Tomorrow, when you wake and the instinct to panic tries to seize your throat, remember the way the light filters through the window. That light is my smile upon you. I have already prompted the person who will call you next week with the seed of a new idea. I have already touched the heart of the creditor who will show unexpected mercy. I have already paved the path through the thicket of legalities and paperwork. You see a maze. I see a straight line. You see a wreckage. I see the raw materials for a cathedral. Let the tears fall if they must. They are the water that softens the hard ground of your pride so that new seeds can take root. I am not rushed. I am not worried. I am sitting here with you in the quiet, and I am telling you that the best parts of you were never the things you sold. The best parts of you are the things I gave you, your kindness, your resilience, your capacity to hope against hope. Those things are intact. They have actually been refined by the fire. We are going to build something together now that cannot be shaken by market trends or economic shifts. We are going to build a life founded on the rock. Can you feel the shift in the atmosphere? The heavy fog of despair is beginning to lift, not because the bank balance has changed, but because your perspective is aligning with mine. You are beginning to see that you are still here, still standing, still my beloved. This night is a bridge, and as we cross it together, I want you to leave the baggage of what went wrong on the shore behind us. We are traveling light from now on. We are moving into a season where my strength will be so evident in your weakness that others will look at your life and know that I am real. I remember the night you sat on the floor of your living room, surrounded by bills, the light of a single lamp casting long shadows that looked like giants. I was the light in that room, though you only saw the shadows. I was the one holding you together when you felt you were shattering into 1,000 pieces. Every piece of you is precious to me. I am picking them up one by one and I am cleaning them. I am removing the grime of failure and the soot of burnout. I am going to put you back together in a way that allows my light to shine through the cracks. In the coming days, you will find that you no longer have to pretend. The mask of the successful professional has been broken, and in its place, I am giving you the face of a person who is truly free. Freedom is not the absence of trouble, it is the presence of my spirit in the midst of it. You will find joy in the smallest things again. The taste of your morning tea, the sound of the wind in the trees, the laughter of a friend who stayed when everyone else left. These are the true riches. I am shifting your heart's economy from the currency of gold to the currency of love. I remember when you were a child, playing in the dirt with nothing but your imagination, and you were happy. You didn't need a corporation to feel significant then. I am bringing you back to that heart of a child, where wonder is more important than wealth. I am teaching you to play again, to dream again, but this time, to dream with me as your partner. We will build a life that is sustainable, a life that breathes, a life that honors the rhythm of rest I created for you. You have been running a marathon on a broken ankle, and I am finally giving you permission to sit down and let me heal you. The world says you are falling behind, but I say you are exactly where you need to be found by me. The pace of the world is a lie. My pace is the pace of grace. Take a deep breath now and let it out slowly. With every exhale, release a piece of the past. With every inhale, take in a breath of my life. You are not just recovering, you are being reborn. This transition is uncomfortable because your soul is expanding. You are becoming a vessel that can hold more of me. Do not be afraid of the void you feel. A void is simply a space waiting to be filled, and I am filling it with my very self. You are safe. You are held. You are more than your accomplishments. You are mine. Look at your hands. For years, they have been clenched tight, holding onto the reins of a legacy you thought you had to build alone. You measured your worth by the growth of a graph, by the prestige of a title that has now vanished like mist in the morning sun. But I see the calluses on your spirit, the weariness that you hid behind a professional mask. The office lights have dimmed, and the silence in your inbox feels like a judgment, but to me, it is a sacred invitation. Remember the nights you spent staring at the ceiling, calculating debts and imagining disasters. I was in those shadows with you, not as a judge of your efficiency, but as the guardian of your soul. You thought the collapse was the end of your story, but it was merely the demolition of a structure that could no longer house the person you are becoming. The blueprint you followed was drafted by the expectations of others, by the ghosts of ancestors who equated survival with exhaustion. I am handing you a new set of plans now, etched not in stone or digital ledgers, but in the soft tissue of your heart. Let us walk through the ruins together. See that pile of broken ambitions. Do not mourn them as losses. See them as the old wood that will fuel the fire of your true purpose. You are trying to feed a hunger that money could never satisfy, a thirst for validation that no board of directors could ever quench. I am the well that never runs dry. I am the bread that truly sustains. In this season of stillness, I am reacquainting you with the simple beauty of being. Have you noticed the way the light filters through the trees in your backyard? Have you heard the rhythm of your own breath when you are not rushing to a meeting? These are the currencies of my kingdom. I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, not by giving you back the same business, but by giving you back yourself. You lost a company, but you found your life. Do not look back at the what-ifs with regret. Every misstep was a lesson in my providence. I allowed the walls to crumble so you could finally see the horizon. There is a vastness before you now that you could not perceive when you were trapped inside your own success. This perceived failure is a filter, stripping away the fair-weather friends and the shallow accolades, leaving only the gold of authentic connection. Your family, your true friends, and we are the ones who remain when the stage lights go dark. We are the ones who love the person, not the producer. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders. That heaviness was never yours to carry. You were meant to be a co-creator, not a solitary laborer. From this day forward, we will move at the pace of peace. There will be work to do, yes, but it will come from a place of overflow rather than depletion. You will find that when you labor with me, the results are more enduring and the journey is far sweeter. We are planting a garden now, not building a skyscraper. Gardens take time. They require the patience of the seasons, the humility to wait for the rain, and the wisdom to know when to prune. You are in your winter, a necessary time of dormancy where the roots grow deep beneath the frozen ground. Do not mistake this quiet for absence. I am working most intensely in the hidden places of your character. I am healing the wounds of your childhood that drove you to prove yourself through overachievement. I am soothing the fear of lack that made you a slave to the bottom line. You are discovering that you are provided for, even when the traditional streams have dried up. I am your source. I am your provider. I am the one who opens doors that no man can shut and shuts doors that were leading you to a precipice. Rest in the knowledge that your future is not a product of your performance, but a gift from my grace. The world may call this a setback, but I call it a setup for a glory you cannot yet imagine. You are learning to trust me in the dark, and that trust is more precious to me than any profit margin. Keep your eyes on me. When the anxiety tries to pull you back into the whirlwind of the past, gently return your focus to my presence. I am right here. I have always been right here. The noise of your busy life simply made it hard for you to hear my whisper. Now, in the hush of this transition, my voice is the melody your soul has been longing for. You are not a failure. You are a student of grace. You are not finished. You are being refined. The masterpiece I am painting with your life requires these darker hues to make the light truly shine. Consider the lilies of the field which I spoke of long ago. They do not toil, yet they are clothed in splendor. You have spent your life toiling, weaving a garment of prestige that never quite kept you warm. Now, I am dressing you in the robes of my righteousness, a covering that fits perfectly and never wears out. Think of the mornings you woke up with a knot in your stomach, dreading the decisions that awaited you. I am untying those knots. I am replacing that dread with a quiet confidence that has nothing to do with your bank balance. We are redefining what it means to be rich. To be rich is to have a mind at ease. To be rich is to have time for the people who make your heart sing. To be rich is to know that your identity is secure, regardless of the economy. You are learning the language of the Spirit, a language that speaks of abundance where others see scarcity. When you look at your depleted accounts, I want you to see the space I have cleared for my miraculous provision. I want you to watch how I move on your behalf when you stop trying to force the outcome. You are witnessing the end of your self-sufficiency and the beginning of my all-sufficiency. This is a terrifying transition for the ego, but a homecoming for the soul. You were never meant to be the engine. You were meant to be the passenger and, at most, the co-pilot. Let me take the wheel for a while. Let me navigate the complex terrain of your recovery. I know where the hidden springs are. I know the shortcuts through the valley of disappointment. I know the high places where you can finally catch your breath and see the beauty of the path we have traveled. Do not be ashamed of your tears. Each one is a prayer that I collect in my bottle. They are washing your eyes so that you can see clearly for the first time. You are seeing that the things you thought were essential were actually encumbrances. You are seeing that the people you were trying to impress were just as lost as you were. And most importantly, you are seeing me, truly seeing me, not as a distant deity who demands results, but as a father who delights in your company. Your business was a thing you did, but it was never who you were. You are my child, my beloved, my chosen. No bankruptcy can take that away. No failed venture can diminish your value in my eyes. In fact, you have never been more beautiful to me than you are right now, stripped of your pretenses, honest in your brokenness, and open to my touch. This is the starting point of true greatness. Not the greatness that the world applauds, but the greatness that changes the atmosphere of a room simply by being present. You are becoming a person of depth, a person of substance, a person who can comfort others with the same comfort you are receiving from me. This pain has a purpose. This loss has a legacy. We are not just rebuilding, we are reimagining. We are creating something that will last for eternity. So stay in this moment with me. Do not run ahead to next month or next year. I am in the now. I am in the slow sip of water, the warmth of the sun on your face, the quiet heartbeat of your home. I am here, and I am enough. This is only the beginning of our deeper walk. There is so much more I want to show you about the beauty that rises from the ashes, and we will take every step in perfect union, for you are never alone. Can you feel the shift in the weight you carry? You used to wake up with the heavy, jagged burden of numbers, projections, and the suffocating expectations of those you thought you had to impress. Now, the morning air smells different. It smells of a raw, startling possibility, though I know it still tastes like the dust of loss to you. Look at your hands. They are no longer white-knuckled, gripping the reins of a runaway carriage that was heading for a cliff you couldn't see. They are open now, palms upward, even if they are trembling. This posture of surrender is the most powerful position a human can hold, for an open hand is the only one that can truly receive the gifts I have been waiting to pour into your life. The spreadsheets you closed for the last time were not a ledger of your soul's worth. The liquidation, the quiet departure of fair-weather partners, the silence of a phone that once rang with the frantic rhythm of crises, these were not the end of your story. They were the pruning shears of a master gardener. I am not cutting you away. I am cutting away the dead wood and the parasitic vines that would have eventually suffocated the true, eternal fruit you were created to bear. Notice the way the light hits the floorboards in your living room around 3 in the afternoon. You never saw that before, did you? You were always in a glass-walled office or staring at a blue-lit screen, chasing a phantom of security that promised peace but only delivered exhaustion. Now, in this forced stillness, you are discovering the texture of your own life. You are noticing the way your breath fills your lungs without you having to command it. You are learning that the sun rises, and the world continues its slow, majestic rotation, even when your personal empire has crumbled. In that realization, there is a terrifying, beautiful freedom. You are no longer the one who has to hold the universe together. I see the way you look at your old business cards, tucked away in the back of a drawer like artifacts from a lost, frantic civilization. Do not look at them with shame. Look at them as a skin you have simply outgrown. You were trying to build a tower to reach the heavens, but I am bringing the heavens down to meet you in this valley. You thought you needed to be the provider, the visionary, the one with all the answers. But here, in the midst of your questions, you are finally finding me as your father. Think of the seeds that require fire to germinate. There are certain depths of character and reaches of compassion that can only be forged in the heat of a collapse. Your everything had to burn so that your true self could emerge from the smoke. I am watching you navigate the aisles of the grocery store, carefully weighing the cost of a simple meal where you once spent thousands on dinners that left you spiritually hungry. Do not feel diminished by this season of lack. You are becoming wealthy in the only currency that crosses the veil: humility, empathy, and an unshakable reliance on my grace. You are learning that your value is not a variable on a graph. It is a constant written in my own heart. Every time you choose to be kind to yourself when the inner critic screams failure, you are winning a battle more significant than any market share you once captured. Every time you choose to trust that I will provide for your next month's rent, you are building a muscle of faith that will carry you through storms that would have leveled your previous house of cards. I am in the details of your recovery. I am in the friend who called out of the blue just to say they were thinking of you. I am in the unexpected check that arrived just when the balance hit zero. I am in the strength you found to get out of bed when the sheets felt like lead. This is not just about a business failing. It is about a child of mine being born again into a reality where they no longer have to perform to be loved. We are hollowing you out so that there is more room for my light to shine through you. A vessel that is full of itself has no room for the wine of the Spirit. But you are becoming a hollow reed, a flute through which I can play a melody of restoration that will heal not only your own heart, but the hearts of those who will find their way to your door because they, too, are broken. Rest in the knowledge that I am the God of the second chance, the third chance, and the eternal beginning. Your resume is a piece of paper, but your life is a poem I am writing, and we have just turned the page to the most beautiful stanza yet. Let the old dreams fall away like autumn leaves. They must rot into the soil to nourish the garden of what is coming next. Do not be afraid of the emptiness. The emptiness is the canvas. The silence is the song. And I am the artist who never leaves a work unfinished. Close your eyes and breathe in the stillness of this room where the ledger no longer balances. You remember the nights spent under the fluorescent hum of your office, the flickering light casting shadows across a business plan that you thought was your destiny. You believed your worth was tethered to the rising curve of a graph, a number in a bank account that promised security but delivered only a deeper thirst. I watched you then, and I watch you now. I saw the beads of sweat on your brow when the final notice arrived, and I heard the silent scream of your spirit as you locked that door for the last time. To the world, that click of the key was the sound of an ending, a finality of failure that brands the soul with shame. But to me, it was the sound of a shackle breaking. You are no longer the CEO of a crumbling empire. You are the beloved of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Do you remember the small mahogany desk in the corner, the one where you kept the photos of your family and the charcoal sketch your daughter drew? You focused so much on the heavy mahogany, the stature it gave you, but I was in the sketch, the simple lines of love that cost nothing. I am inviting you back to the simplicity of being. Look at your hands. They are trembling because they are empty, but I see them as open. A closed fist can hold onto a few coins, but an open palm can receive a monsoon. Think of the forest after a fire. The black char smells of grief, and the canopy is gone, exposing the earth to a sun it hasn't felt in decades. But look closer at the soil. The heat of that very fire has cracked open seeds that have lain dormant for a century, seeds that required the furnace to awaken. Your failure was not a mistake. It was the fire required to release the greatness I planted in you before the foundations of the world were laid. You were building a skyscraper on sand, a monument to your own strength, and I let it fall because I love you too much to let you live in a house that cannot withstand the storm. Now, we are digging deep, down past the rubble of your pride, past the silt of your anxiety, until we hit the bedrock of my grace. There is a different kind of commerce in my kingdom. We trade sorrow for joy, ashes for beauty, and the spirit of heaviness for a garment of praise. You worry about the creditors, about the whispers of those who watched your descent, but I have already paid the debt that truly mattered. I am the auditor of the soul, and I have found you rich in the things that remain. In the coming days, you will feel the urge to rush, to scramble, to rebuild a new Tower of Babel just to prove you are not defeated. Resist the urge to perform. Sit with me in the wreckage. There is a sacredness in the ruins. I want to show you the beauty of the things you overlooked when you were too busy succeeding. I want you to notice the way the light hits the floorboards in the early morning, the taste of water, the sound of your own heartbeat, a rhythmic reminder that you are still here and I am still with you. The world measures a man by his harvest, but I measure a man by his soil. And your soil is being turned over, enriched by the tears you have shed. These tears are not wasted. They are the irrigation for the next season. You feel small, don't you? Like a grain of wheat falling into the earth to die. But if it does not die, it remains alone. If it dies, it produces much fruit. This death of your ambition is the birth of your influence. The people I will send to you in the future will not need your business advice as much as they will need your scars. They will need to look into your eyes and see someone who has walked through the valley of the shadow of bankruptcy and emerged with a light that cannot be bought. You are becoming a merchant of hope, a broker of peace. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your testimony. Let the silence speak. Let the stillness heal. I am not disappointed in you. I am proud of the courage it took to lose everything and still find your way to my feet. We are going to build something new. You and I, it will not be made of steel and glass, but of spirit and truth. It will be a life that breathes, a life that gives, a life that finally knows what it means to be free. Don't look back at the smoldering remains of what was. Keep your eyes on me, for I am doing a new thing. Even now it springs forth. Can you see it? Can you feel the gentle stirrings of a purpose that does not depend on a profit margin? This is the work of my hands, and it is marvelous in my sight. Rest now, for the night is passing, and the dawn we are approaching is one that will never fade. The echo of your footsteps in that empty space, the one you used to call your headquarters, felt like a hollow thud in your chest. You remember how the air felt heavy with the scent of stale coffee and the ghost of conversations that once centered on expansion and acquisition. You looked at the empty shelves where awards once sat, feeling as though your very name had been erased with the removal of each plaque. But I was there in the echoes. I was there in the dust motes dancing in the late afternoon sun. I was showing you that the space was never meant to be filled with things that perish. I remember the night you stayed late, staring at the computer screen until the numbers blurred into a gray haze, and you whispered, "Is this all there is?" That whisper was a prayer, and this collapse is my answer. You were being suffocated by the very success you prayed for, trapped in a cage of your own making, decorated with the gold of temporary accolades. I have dismantled the cage to set the bird free. You feel the wind now, and it scares you because you have forgotten how to fly. You have spent so long hopping from one wire of responsibility to another that you have forgotten the strength of your wings. But the wind is my spirit, and it is rising. It will carry you to heights that a corner office could never reach. Your empty net is the prerequisite for my miracle. Do not be ashamed of the closed sign on the door of your past. It is merely a do not disturb sign for the work I am doing in your present. You are in a chrysalis of my grace. To the world, the caterpillar has disappeared, its life seemingly ended in a shroud of stillness. But inside, a transformation is occurring that defies the logic of the old life. The old structures are breaking down to provide the fuel for the new. You are being reconfigured, my child. The very traits that made you a failure in the eyes of the ruthless, your empathy, your hesitation to exploit, your desire for integrity over gain, these are the very traits that I am magnifying. They were weaknesses in the kingdom of man, but they are superpowers in my kingdom. I am teaching you the economy of the enough. You have spent your life chasing more, a horizon that always recedes. Now I am showing you the richness of enough, enough grace for this hour, enough bread for this day, enough love to cover every mistake. When you stop striving, you start seeing. You start seeing the neighbor who is also struggling. You start seeing the beauty in the mundane. You start seeing me in every face you encounter. This business failure is the blindfold being removed. You thought you were losing your vision, but you are actually gaining sight. You are seeing that the most valuable assets you possess are the ones that cannot be liquidated: your character, your faith, and my unwavering presence. So, when the fear of the future tries to steal your sleep, remember the lilies. They do not toil or spin, yet I clothe them in splendor. How much more will I clothe you, who are worth more than many sparrows? You are entering a season of profound provision, not necessarily of the bank account, but of the soul. You will find that you have everything you need precisely when you need it. The manna will fall daily. Do not try to store it up. Trust me for tomorrow's portion. This is the walk of the faithful, the journey of the one who knows that the shepherd leads to green pastures, even if the path goes through the darkest valley. We are walking together now, at a slower pace, a pace that allows for wonder. Do not look at the clock, look at my face. We are not late, we are exactly where we need to be for the next stanza of your life to begin. You are learning that the silence of a closed office is not a vacuum, but a sanctuary. For years, your identity was woven into the rhythmic clatter of the keyboard, the ping of incoming notifications, and the relentless pursuit of growth. You measured your worth by the length of your to-do list and the trajectory of your revenue. But now, in this forced stillness, I am inviting you to listen to the sounds you ignored for too long. Listen to the way the wind moves through the trees outside your window, a gentle reminder that life continues to breathe even when your industry stands still. I see you sitting in the quiet of your living room, the space where you once paced with a phone pressed to your ear, negotiating deals that felt like life or death. The deals are gone, but you are still here, and you are more alive than you were when you were drowning in the noise. The mahogany desk you sold, the lease you walked away from, the employees you had to let go with a heavy heart, these were not your life. They were the scaffolding, and the scaffolding has fallen so that the true temple of your spirit can be revealed. I am restructuring your internal architecture. I am replacing the brittle beams of performance with the solid foundation of belonging. You have spent so much time trying to prove you are enough that you forgot you were already chosen before the foundation of the world. Think back to the mornings when you woke up with a knot in your stomach, reaching for your phone before you even whispered a prayer, checking the markets, checking the feedback, checking the numbers. That knot was the physical manifestation of a soul trying to carry a weight it was never meant to bear. I am untying that knot now, finger by finger. I want you to feel the lightness of your chest, the way your breath can finally reach the bottom of your lungs. We are rediscovering the world through the eyes of the person you were before the pressure began. Do you remember the simple joy of a morning cup of tea without a spreadsheet open? Do you remember the way the light looks when it hits the floorboards in the late afternoon? I am giving these things back to you as holy gifts. Many would call this a season of loss, but I call it a season of reclamation. I am reclaiming your time, your attention, and your affection. I am reclaiming the parts of you that you traded for a seat at tables that never truly nourished you. You were hungry for success, but success is a salt water drink. The more you have, the thirstier you become. I am leading you to the living water now. There is a specific person you feel you have failed, perhaps a spouse who sacrificed for your dream, or a parent you wanted to make proud. I want you to look at them through my eyes. They do not see a failure. They see a person they love who is finally coming home. The shame you carry is a shadow that vanishes when you stand in the direct light of my grace. I am healing the fractures in your relationships that were caused by your absence, even when you were physically in the room. You were there, but your mind was always in the next quarter, the next crisis, the next win. Now I am teaching you the art of presence. When you look into the eyes of your loved ones, I want you to really see them. This is the true profit of this season. You are gaining back the moments that have no price tag. I am also working in the hidden corners of your ambition. I am not taking away your drive. I am purifying it. I am removing the thorns of ego so that when I call you to build again, and I will call you to build, you will do so with hands that are steady and a heart that is anchored. You will no longer build a monument to yourself, but a garden for others. You will lead with empathy born of your own scars. You will be a source of wisdom for those who are currently where you were a year ago, frantic and frayed. Your story is not ending with a bankruptcy or a liquidation. It is beginning with a resurrection. But resurrection requires a death, and we are letting the old version of you, the one who thought he was the captain of his own soul, pass away peacefully. It is safe to let go. You do not have to hold the world together. I have been holding it the whole time, even while you were sleeping, even while you were failing. Especially then. Feel the texture of this day. It is not a day of doing. It is a day of being. Notice the way your hands no longer shake when the mail arrives. Notice the way the anger you felt toward those who abandoned you when the money ran out is turning into a strange, distant pity. They are still trapped in the race you have been allowed to leave. You have been granted a holy exile. Use this time to rest your weary bones. I am rubbing the oil of healing into the places where the harness of your career chafed your skin. You were a workhorse for a master that did not love you. Now you are a child in the house of a father who treasures you. There is no quota here. There are no deadlines. There is only the steady rhythm of my heart beating in time with yours. Let us walk down the path toward the water. You don't need to know where it leads just yet. Just know that the one who created the path is walking right beside you, and I am not in a hurry. Look at your hands as we walk. For years, they were clenched so tightly around the steering wheel of your ambition that your knuckles stayed white even in sleep. You were trying to steer a ship through a storm that was never yours to command. Now, see how they hang loose at your sides, fingers brushing the tall grass. There is a new suppleness in your grip. You are learning to hold things loosely, and in that looseness, there is a profound power you never accessed while you were busy conquering. The silence of your phone is not a sign of your obsolescence. It is a shield I have placed around your peace. Remember the vibration of it in your pocket, that phantom itch that kept you tethered to 1,000 demands. It was a leash, not a lifeline. I have clipped those wires. Do not go searching for the static. Do not mistake the quiet for a vacuum. It is a womb. Something is being formed in this stillness that the noise of your previous life would have suffocated. Think back to the mahogany desk you left behind, the one where you signed the documents that eventually crumbled. You thought that wood represented stability, but it was just a dead thing polished to a high shine. Here, among these living trees, the bark is rough and the branches are crooked, yet they possess a resilience your balance sheets could never buy. They know how to bend without breaking when the wind howls. You are learning the same. I am teaching you the art of the sapling. You felt the snap of your pride like a bone breaking, didn't you? It was a sharp, sickening sound that echoed through the hallways of your ego. But I am the great physician, and I tell you that the bone is knitting back together stronger at the point of the fracture. You will walk with a different gait now, one characterized by a humble steadiness rather than a frantic sprint. We are approaching the edge of the stream. Notice the way the water moves around the stones. Doesn't fight them, it flows, finding the path of least resistance, yet it carves canyons over time. You spent so much energy trying to be the stone, hard and unmoving, resisting the current of my will. I am inviting you to be the water. Relax into the flow of my provision. Do you remember the nights when you stared at the ceiling fan, calculating interest rates and severance packages until the sun turned the blinds a ghostly gray? Your mind was a calculator that had forgotten how to dream. I am resetting those internal gears. I am replacing the cold logic of survival with the warm intuition of the spirit. You are noticing colors again, aren't you? The specific, bruising purple of a storm cloud, the vibrant, almost neon green of new moss on a damp rock. These are the details you traded for data points. It is a lopsided trade, and I am here to restore the balance. You felt like a ghost when you walked out of that building for the last time, as if your very substance was tied to the title on your business card. But I saw you clearly. I saw the man beneath the suit, the woman beneath the worry, and I saw a beauty that had nothing to do with your output. You were never a machine, though the world tried to convince you otherwise. You were never meant to be efficient. You were meant to be whole. Let the memory of those final, desperate board meetings fade like the steam off a cup of tea. Those voices, the ones that spoke of bottom lines and market share, they do not know your name. They only knew your function. But I know the secret name I have written on your heart, a name that signifies beloved and restored. As we sit here by the bank, feel the coolness of the earth beneath you. It is firm. It is certain. It has been here long before your business was an idea, and it will remain long after your name has left the ledgers of men. You are grounded in me. There is a deep, subterranean reservoir of grace that you haven't even begun to tap into. You thought you were running out of time, out of money, out of options. But in my kingdom, the end of your resources is simply the beginning of my abundance. This is not the language of the world, I know. It sounds like foolishness to those who are still counting their coins, but you have been given the eyes to see the invisible currency of the soul. You are richer now in your failure than you ever were in your success, because you have finally reached the end of yourself, and that is where I am most easily found. Do not look back at the ruins with longing. There is nothing in that salt pillar of a past that can nourish you. The fire that consumed your career was a refining fire, not a destroying one. It burned away the dross of your self-sufficiency so that the gold of your character could finally shine through the ash. I am not done with the refining, but the heat is lowering now. We are moving into the cooling phase, the tempering. You are becoming a vessel that can hold much more than the shallow successes of your youth. I am preparing you for a weight of glory that would have crushed the person you were a year ago. Breathe. Just breathe. Let the air fill your lungs without the constriction of anxiety. Every breath is a gift you didn't have to earn. Every heartbeat is a mercy you didn't have to invoice. We will stay here as long as it takes for your soul to catch up with your body. There is no urgency to return to the marketplace. The world will keep spinning without your intervention, and that realization is your liberation. You are free to be small. You are free to be quiet. You are free to be mine. Look at your hands. For years, they have been clenched in a permanent grip, white-knuckled and weary, holding onto the steering wheel of a destiny you thought was yours to command. You clutched spreadsheets like scriptures and worshipped the frantic glow of the monitor at 3:00 a.m., believing that your worth was directly proportional to the growth of a graph. I saw you in those hours. The way the cold coffee tasted like ash in your mouth. The way your jaw ached from a tension you didn't even realize you were carrying. You were building a kingdom out of vapor, and when the wind blew it away, you felt as though your very skin had been stripped from your bones. But I am here to tell you that the nakedness you feel is not a shame. It is a beginning. For the first time in a decade, there is nothing between us. No titles, no quarterly reports, no curated image of success to act as a barrier to my gaze. I am looking at the person I fashioned in the secret place, long before you learned how to negotiate a contract or pivot a strategy. Do you remember that version of yourself? The one who loved the sound of the rain against the glass simply because it was beautiful, not because it gave you an excuse to stay inside and work. We are going back to find that person. The world calls this a collapse, but I call it a clearing. Think of the office you walked out of for the last time, the hollow echo of your footsteps in the hallway, the stack of business cards that suddenly felt like relics of a distant, frantic civilization. You felt like a ghost, an intruder in your own life. But that ghost was the persona, the mask that had become so heavy it was crushing the life out of your spirit. The you that remains, the one sitting here in the quiet, is the one I have always been after. You worry about the bank accounts, the judgments of peers who still measure life by the height of their towers, and the stinging silence of the friends who disappeared when the influence dried up. Let them go. Their departure is a pruning of the vines that were only drawing life from you without offering any shade. I am surrounding you now with a different kind of company, the quiet ones, the trees, the steady rhythm of the seasons, and the profound, unshakable peace that passes all corporate understanding. Feel the knots in your shoulders beginning to loosen. That physical pain was the body's protest against a soul in exile. Now that you have come home to the present moment, your body can finally stop screaming. You are learning the liturgy of the unforced rhythms of grace. There is a sacredness in the way you now fold your laundry, in the way you notice the specific shade of gold in a sunset, in the way you can listen to a friend without mentally checking your watch. These are not small things, they are the substance of an eternal life. You used to be a brand, now you are a human being. You used to be a commodity, now you are a child. Can you feel the difference? The air is no longer thick with the dust of the hustle. It is clear. It is cool. It is enough. We are untangling the wires of your identity from the machinery of your industry. It is a slow process, a delicate surgery of the heart, and I am in no hurry. You keep looking for the next door to open, the next mountain to climb, the next fire to put out. But I am asking you to sit by the stream instead. Watch how the water flows over the stones, smoothing the jagged edges without effort, simply by being present. That is what my love is doing to you. It is flowing over the sharp, broken pieces of your failure until they become smooth, until they become beautiful. You are not behind schedule. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be to hear the things I have been trying to tell you for 20 years. Do you remember the Tuesday afternoon the final notice arrived? You sat at your kitchen table, the light fading, feeling the weight of 1,000 what-ifs. You felt like a failure, but I was there, sitting across from you, seeing a triumph. I saw a man finally stopped in his tracks, finally forced to look up from the dirt of his own ambition. I saw a woman finally dropping the heavy bags she was never meant to carry. That moment was not your end. It was our rendezvous. We are rebuilding, yes, but not with the materials of the marketplace. We are building with the stones of humility, the mortar of trust, and the windows of wonder. This new structure will not be a skyscraper that intimidates others. It will be a cottage that welcomes them. It will be a place where the weary can find the same rest you are finding now. Don't reach for your phone. Don't check the news. Don't scan the horizon for a sign of the next opportunity. The only opportunity that matters is the one right here, in the breath you just took. I have already provided for the birds, and you are much more precious to me than they are. Your needs are not a burden to me. They are a bridge between us. Let me be the provider you were never meant to be for yourself. Let the silence be your sanctuary rather than your cell. We are going to stay in this cooling phase until the metal of your soul is tempered, until you can hold the heat of the world without being consumed by it. There is so much more I want to show you about the beauty of the hidden life. Are you ready to go deeper into the quiet? Are you ready to see that the ruins of your career are actually the foundations of your freedom? Watch how the light changes in this room as the sun begins its slow descent. It does not hurry to finish the day. It simply glows, fulfilling its purpose by being exactly what it was created to be. For years, you lived by the fluorescent hum of office lights that never changed, creating a false eternal noon where you felt you had to be constantly on, constantly producing, constantly shining. But I created the rhythm of the evening for a reason. I created the shadows so you could learn to trust what you cannot see. You are learning the holiness of the twilight now. You are learning that your value does not diminish when the tools are put away and the laptop is closed. Your worth is not a solar panel that only works when the conditions are perfect. Your worth is an eternal flame I kindled within you before the foundations of the world were laid. Do you remember the weight of the phone in your hand? It felt like a tether, didn't it? A digital leash that pulled you back into the fray every time you tried to catch your breath. Every notification was a demand, every email a tiny arrow aimed at your peace. You thought you were staying connected, but you were actually becoming more isolated from the only connection that can sustain you. You were surrounded by contacts, but had no companions. You had followers, but were desperately lonely. I have cut those tethers not to leave you adrift, but to let you float on the surface of my grace. Feel the lightness of your hands now. They are no longer clenched around a device. They are open, resting on your knees, palms upward. This is the posture of a king who has realized his crown was made of lead, and he is much happier without it. I want to talk to you about the shame that still tries to sit at the edge of your bed in the early hours. It whispers that you wasted decades. It tells you that the bank accounts of your peers are the only true scorecards. But I tell you that the years you spent in that high-pressure chamber were not wasted. They were the furnace. I was watching you even then, seeing how you tried to do the right thing in a system that often rewarded the wrong thing. I saw the moments you chose integrity over a quick win, even if those choices aren't what led to the eventual collapse. Those moments of hidden goodness are the only things you carried out of the building when it fell. They are the gold that survived the fire. The rest, the titles, the bonuses, the prestige, was just dross. It had to burn away so you could see the treasure you still possess, a soul that can still recognize my voice. Think of the garden we are planting together. In the world you left, growth was measured in percentages and graphs. It was aggressive, forced, and often unsustainable. But the growth I bring is quiet. It happens underground in the dark, where no one is watching. It is the slow stretching of roots toward the water table. You felt cut down when the business failed, but you were actually being pruned. A vine that is never pruned becomes a tangled mess of leaves with no fruit. I have taken away the excess so that the life force of your spirit can be concentrated on what truly matters. You are not becoming less than you were. You are becoming the essence of who you are. You are being refined down to the beautiful, simple core of your being. The world will ask you, what do you do? And for the first time in your life, you will be tempted to feel embarrassed when you don't have a corporate answer. But I want you to smile and realize that doing is the smallest part of a life. I want you to be able to say, I am learning to be loved. I want you to find more pride in the way you listen to a friend or the way you tend to a single flower than you ever found in a multi-million-dollar closing. The hidden life is not a life of insignificance. It is a life of immense power. It is the life of the seed, the life of the yeast, the life of the salt. It changes everything it touches, not by making a loud noise, but by its very presence. I am teaching you a new pace. It is the pace of the heartbeat, not the pace of the processor. We are going to unlearn the habit of rushing to the next thing. When you eat, we will taste the food. When you walk, we will feel the ground. When you speak, we will choose words that build up rather than words that just fill the air. This is the tempering I spoke of. I am making you strong enough to handle the heat of the world without being consumed, because your identity will no longer be tied to what the world can give or take away. You are becoming unshakable because you are finally standing on the ground, not on a pedestal of your own making. Pedestals are unstable. The ground is firm. Do not fear the emptiness of your calendar. That white space is my canvas. I am painting a new landscape for your future, one where success is defined by the depth of your peace rather than the height of your pile. You are worried about how you will provide, but look at the lilies. They do not toil or spin, yet I clothe them in a splendor that outshines any designer suit you ever wore. I am your provider. I am the one who opens doors that no man can shut, and I am the one who shut the doors of your old life because they were leading you into a room with no windows. Trust the closing. Trust the silence. Trust that I am working even when you are resting, especially when you are resting. Lay your head down now, not in the exhaustion of defeat, but in the surrender of trust. The ruins are being cleared away, brick by my hands. Underneath, I am revealing a foundation of solid rock that has been there all along, waiting for you to find it. You thought you were losing your life, but you are finally finding it. Can you feel it? The subtle shift from panic to providence. We are going deeper into this quiet. And there, in the center of the silence, you will find that you have never been more alive than you are right now, with nothing to your name but my name.